Leonard dropped a game-high 30 points on opening night against LeBron and the Lakers. And Hall of Famer Charles Barkley has a hot take when it comes to the King and the Claw. Take a listen.
I don't hesitate. I think at this stage, Kawhi's a better player than LeBron. Because he's better. I mean, he does everything better. He's a better defender. He's a better scorer. And that's pretty, he's better at imposing his will on the game. I mean, you just saw him just will a good Toronto team to the championship. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Did Charles lose his mind along with 40 pounds at some point?
He does look amazing.
Svelte.
He's going to have some spicy takes and everything, Nick.
Now he chooses to lose all the weight.
That is,
Not
I don't
when he was
even think...
playing. 40 years after he stopped playing, I'm going to lose. Now I'm going to lose the weight.
I don't think that's that hot of a take these days. I think Chris believes it. Barkley believes it. I heard Colin yesterday say, if you need a stop, you go to Kawhi. If you need a bucket, you go to Kawhi. I'm not on that train. All the folks out there saying Kawhi Leonard right now is a better offensive player than LeBron James, I'm going to wait more than one game of this season before I believe that. By the way, the timeline says he should be. Kawhi's in the prime of his career. LeBron's in year 17. All that. I don't believe that to be the case, but I think Charles is in the majority opinion right now on that. I think I'm in the minority opinion. I think my minority opinion will end up being the correct one, but we'll wait and see.
Jenna, the one thing, Kawhi, he can do more things at elite level than LeBron can right now.
Today.
And it's based on you. And that's not, at some point, everyone, skill level. Like, you're not going to be able to play 38 to 40 minutes on the offensive, defensive end. He's had an incredible career. We thought Giannis. He was in the conversation. Other people have been in the conversation. But Kawhi Leonard should be talked about when you talk about the best players in the world.
All right, we're going to get to Drew Brees in just a second, but first, a couple of highlights from last night. Blazers and Nuggets. Damian Lillard hitting Mason Plumlee with a spin move before delivering the thunderous dunk.
Good to see Damian get up like that, but Mason Plumlee, man, come on, stay home, bro. You don't need to be blitzing that pick and roll out there. What are you doing? What are you doing, man? That's not your comfort zone, big fella.
Yeah, Dame wasn't able to get the win, but he was in midseason form.
Absolutely.
Sixers and Celtics. Tobias Harris finding Ben Simmons on the fast break, who makes a nice off-balance one-handed scoop.
That's a bizarre finish. I mean, it's a great finish because it went in, but it looked like he couldn't slow down the way he wanted to, so he just flicks it up. Nice read by Tobias. Ben can't stop. That'll work, I suppose.
Ben's a tremendous athlete. I think that they need to get out on the break and be able to take advantage of his unique size, speed, ability to shoot the ball close to the bucket with both hands.
All right, Magic and Cavs, your former #1 pick, Markelle Fultz, making his Orlando debut coast to coast before taking off from the dotted line.
Nothing would make me happier this year, C, than if Fultz wins League's Most Improved Player.
Yeah.
If we talked about #1 overall picks a little bit ago. It has not been good for the NBA that this #1 overall pick has been non-existent. Maybe out of the spotlight in Orlando, a good Orlando team, playoff team last year. See what he can do.
And the public should know this kid has been through an awful lot on and off the court. He hadn't just struggled with his jump shot.
All right, Heat, Grizzlies, Derek Jones Jr. posterizing Jonas Valanciunas. Gets so high he throws the ball in the basket.
Look, I'm smart enough to be able to read the scouting report. If I'm playing against Derek Jones Jr., I'm not contesting nothing in the paint. I have seen no person slam on everyone in the NBA more frequent than him, Nick.
Absolutely. I'm excited to watch some Heat Nets games this year to see if Jared Allen says, I'm going to meet you at the rim.
Oh, okay.
Jonas can't get up high enough. Jonas, you need...
Kyrie Irving made his debut for the Brooklyn Nets, and he put on a show. Dropping 50 points. That's the most ever points scored in a debut for an NBA team. But the Nets came up short in overtime when Kyrie missed the game-winning shot. Nick, what'd you make of Kyrie's performance?
I mean, Kyrie is one of the most unique athletes I've ever covered. I mean, he's almost in tears before the game, talking about how excited he is to, be in essentially his hometown, at least the hometown area. And then he comes out and puts on a show that would have been a storybook ending if that shot falls, and it damn near does. Despite the loss, a spectacular performance by Kyrie.
Yeah, and you were talking about Steph. You were talking about now that we don't have these stacked teams, that you're going to see more performances like this. The talent is spread out throughout the league. He looked like Jenna, like he's lost some weight. It looked like he was fitter than we've seen him the last couple of years, where injuries have kind of hampered him. But, man, the only thing now we're missing is KD. My goodness, but what a special night in Brooklyn, opening night. Kyrie, wow.
Jazz and Thunder. Donovan Mitchell putting Terrence Ferguson in a spin cycle before making the up and under layup.
Looking for him to benefit having Michael Conley Jr. there as the point guard, so now he can play a little more off the guard. Had a little sophomore slump, looking to bounce back.
Efficiency slump last year, even though his scoring jumped. What was so great about that win for Utah last night? Conley was 1 of 16, and they still won. Oh, my goodness.
This is a nice story. Magic and Cavs and former #1 pick Markelle Fultz making his Orlando debut coast to coast. Taking off from the dotted line for the dunk right there.
I wanted to see this, Nick. How many minutes was he going to play? But he has rehabbed his game. He's overcome a lot in his life. I'll be cheering for this guy. Last night, I looked up his stat line to see what it was, how many minutes he played, see if he got in double figures. I mean, it's nice for him.
Nice for Markelle Fultz, and nice for the Magic to not have to start the season until this week and get in a preseason game against the Cavs.
You know what that was there? Sarcasm. Sixers opened up their season against the Boston Celtics last night, and they looked impressive. Ben Simmons led the way with 24 points. None from beyond the arc, however. While Joel Embiid chipped in 15 points, 13 rebounds, their defense was stellar, holding the Celtics to just 37% shooting. CeCe, what did the Sixers show you last night?
They're ginormous. The team is huge. I mean, in this day and age of basketball with the three-point shooting, very seldom do you see teams just try to be bigger. It was always in the 70s and 80s, 90s, always. Several teams were going to be ginormous. That's what they are. Joel Embiid trying to find himself playing next to Al Horford. That right there, having another big guy on the court, it's going to take some time. He did play under control last night. Ben Simmons was the star of the game. They're so much better than the Celtics. Like, it still might be a rivalry because just they've been playing each other for a long time, location and everything. But, you know, they got so much more talent. So I'm looking forward to seeing this talent gel. I believe it's going to take at least 20 games with some of these new pieces that they've brought over. But good basketball team. If they're not in the Eastern Conference Finals, it's been a bad year.
It's shocking. Listen, we said a moment ago that there's uncertainty surrounding this season. The thing I am most certain of is that the Eastern Conference is going to come down to Philadelphia and Milwaukee in a brutal 7-game knockdown drag-out series. Everything else in the East is kind of what's leading up to that. One note on the Celtics, a positive note for the Celtics. Gordon Hayward looked as good as he's looked in the Celtics uniform against a great defense. Gordon Hayward with 25 points. Obviously, Jaylen Brown had a brutal game. Kemba Walker had an awful debut. But a lot of players are going to have 4 for 18, 3 for 11 nights like you saw Celtics have last night against this Philly defense. Before Kawhi and Paul George came together, when we heard Al Horford was coming to Philly, we said, and this is going to be the best defensive team in basketball. The amount of length.
And then they get Richardson from Miami.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They bring him over. They lose Jimmy Butler, obviously. But when you can start Ben Simmons, Richardson, Horford, Harris, Embiid, you have such overwhelming length, you're not going to have to be a great offense. The Sixers can play kind of an old-school Sixers style of basketball, try to beat you up in the post and play suffocating defense. You saw that last night. I bet the Sixers will lead the NBA this year in holding their opponent under 100. Game's a hell of a lot easier if you only have to get to 100 instead of 110, 115. To me, that was the story of last night.
We looked at the Sixers team. There were 3 things I think we all thought were question marks coming in. Ben Simmons, is he ever going to shoot from deep? We saw what he was doing in the offseason. How Joel Embiid was going to look. He talked a lot about focusing on the physical aspect of his body. And then if it was on the coaching, if Brett Brown was the right guy to lead this group of people, and then obviously how Simmons and Horford would play. If they don't make the conference finals, what would be the reason why this team can't? Would it be one of those things?
Well, I believe that, first of all, Joel Embiid, you can look at his body and you can tell. The problem is, over the course of the season, is he able to maintain that conditioning? I thought last night, with new faces on the court, he played within himself. You know, he is a defensive force. His offensive skill is second to none of any big man that we do have. Ben Simmons is the tricky part, because with Richardson, who's a good three-point shooter, Al Horford, good three-point shooter, I don't want him to force, because because the public sentiment is, oh, he's got to shoot, he's got to shoot. It's about winning, playing to the strength of your team and everything. Him shooting the ball outside of 6 feet is not one of the strengths. So I'm not going to get on TV and waste my breath and everything. They put other shooters around him. They are not expecting him to be a shooter. So Brett Brown, I believe there will always be question marks as far as him. Last year, he didn't hurt his reputation by losing the buzzer beater to Kawhi, because they've been like, if we don't lose that one, then we're in the finals. So I think he helped himself. How can he build on that, though? Those three aspects, I think, are well covered. But the Ben Simmons part, we have to also understand they have a team concept. And he can't just shoot threes just to make the public happy.
And what we need to see from Ben Simmons is a game not like last night where he's getting wherever he wants on the court, but a game where he can't get to where he wants on the court. Can he open up the court a bit? Forget a three-pointer with a 12-footer. That was the most jarring thing about last year.
12 feet right now is like 40.
Right.
So,
he shot less than one shot per game outside of 10 feet. It was just an absurdity. I think he made less than 15 of those shots all season long. Ben Simmons last night was the best player on the court. Joel Embiid was in foul trouble. Joel Embiid did not play a great game. He didn't even play 30 minutes last night. Ben Simmons was their best guy offensively. The question is, when you play a team with more resistance, when you play a team who doesn't have our friend of the show and my new friend Enes Kanter as their defensive stopper, like what else can you do? But this is a great start for the Sixers.
Yeah.
Nice, easy victory, and I think they're going to have a lot of those in the Eastern Conference this year, which has a bunch of above-average team.